Hello everybody. In this episode of Frog Week, I actually just wanted to show you some of the animals that I have eating some of the crickets and some of the flies that I got from Josh's Frogs. And I wanted to talk to you guys about some of the sponsors and also some important things that you should take into account when keeping native species in captivity. If you guys are new to the channel, you're looking at the Gray Army, which is my great tree frogs. They're going to be featured heavily during this video, as I'm feeding them banded crickets and also some flies that I got from Josh's Frogs. So let's get right into it. Josh's Frogs was the main sponsor of Frog Week. They still are the main sponsor of Frog Week. And I really want to give a huge shout out to them for the quality feeder insects and also taking the time to support a conservation project. Josh's Frogs actually is more focused in the captive sale of exotic animals, so for them to take a time to just recognize the native species, it really meant a lot to me, the fact that they would take the time to do so. The native species are actually where my passion in the hobby comes from. So it's very important to consider a company like Josh's Frogs because they have good ethics. They're not going to sell you wild imported animals, and they also quarantine their captive animals, which is a huge thing because a lot of places I've gone to reptile expos, they don't really quarantine their animals. It's kind of an export, whatever they have at the time, and that can actually be a lot more harmful than beneficial because you could be adding an animal that's either wild or it was imported, which means that it could have a lot of illnesses, or it could get your animal sick if you don't quarantine it for a long period of time and maybe even take it to the vet. With that being said, you should still take your animals to the vet. However, buying from a company like Josh's Frogs means that the chances are much lower in getting a captive bred animal that has an illness. Josh's Frogs is really doing some incredible things, and I just wanted to give them a shout out. Some of the other sponsors of Frog Week are actually different things that maybe you guys haven't thought of joining. Have you guys ever heard of any forums for amphibians or reptiles on the web? There's a lot of different reptile and amphibian forums that are really good, but the thing is, either a lot of people don't know that they exist, or they haven't taken the time to really dive in and see what they can learn from it. I'd like to give a shout out to our Reptile Forum for being one of the main sponsors of Frog Week. They've supported all of this project. They've supported a couple of my builds with my other animals. They also have allowed me to create some care sheets. I will be providing a care sheet for the Eastern Gray Tree Frog and the American Toad. Two of my favorite pets, but also two of my favorite animals in the wild as well. Our Reptile Forum is truly a friendly environment. They are very relaxed with their rules, but they want to offer quality and experienced educational information on whatever species that you have. It's mainly focused on reptiles, but I focus on the amphibian part, and they usually tag me in a lot of the stuff that involves the native species and frogs in general. So I really appreciate that and have a lot of respect for those guys out there at our Reptile Forum. It's really important to be involved in a community, in a group. There's a lot of things that I had no idea about, even the animals that I've kept and been knowledgeable about for many years. But whenever I joined some of these forums, it really pushed me to get better and also to want to create better environments for the animals that I had. It also helps to have more than one opinion. Another great web forum is the Frog Forum. Before I get into talking about the Frog Forum, I just wanted to also show the neighbor to the Gray Tree Frogs right now, my Eastern American male toad, Wellsboro. His nickname is actually the Golden Toad because he has beautiful coloration that I haven't really seen from other American toads. Whenever he's in the light, he usually turns this yellowish goldish color, and it looks so incredible. Wellsboro is a very old and a very large American toad. He also is just so much fun to watch, but he's also pretty aggressive for a toad. Between Wellsboro here and the Gray Army, I am actually planning on doing some other builds for these guys. The Gray Army is going to get a 90 gallon and Wellsboro here is probably going to get something a little bit over 100 gallons. They're in quarantine right now. A little bit of what I was talking about with Josh's frogs. These are native species. They're wild, so they do have parasites. They carry things. And that's the risk and reward of keeping native species. Obviously, if you're doing it legally and you're doing it following your state's law, then by all means, you're legally, and there's nothing unethical about doing that. But these guys are in quarantine right now. They're being dewormed. Wellsboro and the gray tree frogs had parasitic nematodes, and right now we are getting that taken care of. So soon everybody will be able to move into their enclosure. So this is not a recommended setup for either of these animals. They need a lot of space because these are wild animals. A 10-gallon is actually not going to cut it. But I just wanted to kind of show you them eating, and they're in their quarantine setup right now. I just thought it'd be a really cool way to show you what I'm talking about, especially with my sponsorships, and it would make for an interesting video. So I wanted to talk about Frog Forum. This has been the forum that I've actually been the most active on in years. I've been a member for about 6 years now, and that's usually where I'm at. I'm either talking about the animals that I have in their weekly updated stories on the Frog Forum and their posts, or I'm going to be helping other people that have native species care for their animals. The Frog Forum is a little bit different from our Reptile Forum because Frog Forum focuses on every single species and type of frog and toad in the world. They have a lot of subcategories. It's very organized and very helpful. If you're going to be looking for a good forum to reach out and learn more about your frogs and maybe even interact with myself, join the Frog Forum because they have a lot of great people on there that will offer good care advice, and they'll also do it in a timely fashion. Those are two of the most influential and most important web forums to me that I spend a lot of my time on throughout the week, whether it's just scrolling through different things or issuing help the best that I can. Last but not least, there is another forum called theballpython.net. These guys actually focus on ball pythons and snakes, but I've been talking to them back and forth for a good bit of time. They seem to be very easygoing, and they seem to really appreciate feedback from all their members. This is a really great opportunity for snake keepers and for lizard keepers to get involved within different communities. You can also learn and help people that might have the same species but might not know how to care for it on a forum like a snake or reptile forum. Also, if you have no idea how to care for an animal and you join a forum that's focused on frogs, it could really help you with your care for the rest of your pets. The ballpython.net group are wonderful because they have a Facebook page and they have their forum, which also I think won an award in 2016 for being a very, very solid forum with good advice. So those would be the three forums that I would issue as three of the most beneficial and important ones to check out. Facebook groups are a little bit different than forums. They're not necessarily as organized. They don't necessarily have sub-forums, but they have a larger group of people that are seeing whatever question or whatever you're posting. I'm usually active on the American Toad Enthusiast Facebook page, and I'm also active on Frog Addicts Anonymous, who are supporting this project. I think that it's very important to be a part of Facebook groups and also forums. The Facebook groups, like I said, are more of a crowd mentality. You're going to get your name, you're going to get your problem or whatever you're asking out there to thousands of people. Whereas web forums, you're going to have it more specific, and people that have the same animals or the same problem are going to be able to see what you're saying and comment on that. This can really help if you have some type of a serious issue going on, like a prolapse or your toad or frog doing something that maybe you have no idea what to do. It also helps getting a second opinion because it could mean the life or death of your animal if there's something seriously wrong. So I hope that watching my animals consuming Josh's frogs' banded crickets and talking about them, the forums, and the Facebook pages gave you an opportunity maybe to think about and try some new things out. It's never too late to join these forums and Facebook groups. They're always looking for new members, and they're always looking to have more people contribute into their stuff as well. So in conclusion here, as Wellsboro looks kind of at the camera, and he's pigging out on these banded crickets, and as the Gray Army continues to dominate the banded crickets in here, they're probably actually looking for more. All the animals from the PA Woods and Forest community are active on the web forums and on the Facebook pages. Hopefully you learned something today and it gave you something to think about moving forward.